Hi, Meg here. Before we get into thinking about presentation recipes and ingredients, it's good to pause at this point as you've been through the 4 planning questions and look at what's different now that you've thought about them. So you've thought about who's going to be there, what actions you want them to be able and motivated to take, what they're bringing in with them in terms of their past and present, and what's important to them. And there's a couple of things that it's probably good to review at this point just to double check. One is, maybe you only do this first time, is to go if you had just dived in and opened PowerPoint or open your notebook and open an Evernote doc and started typing things in about what you were going to say, compare that to what's different now. When we haven't even talked about you yet, all we've thought about is them. What's immediately clear to you that needs to happen, either needs to be included or not included in your presentation? Straight away you'll have insights, because remember, the purpose of the presentation is not the words you say, but the ideas that go into other people's heads and then the actions that they take. So if you're really able to think that through, then it puts one of the nice things it can do is it puts a boundary around the amount of research and the amount of planning you're going to need to do, because this is where we need to focus in on. We've thought about those 4 questions: who, actions, past, important. Now we go, and then there's your presentation. And so bearing in mind how long you've got, now we go back to the action question and go, are those actions that you want them able and motivated to do, are they realistic, bearing in mind who's going to be there, what they're bringing in with them, what's important to them? And it may be that you need to often adjust your expectations down as you realise, oh, well, in 20 minutes I'm not going to be able to do half of what I wanted to do. And so you're able to put together a presentation that's much more relevant and concise. If we're really going to do this, then it's also important that you plan for half the time you've already been allocated and double the time you've already been allocated, because you never know what's going to happen on the day, and it's really good to be prepared. It's also good to have a range of actions, because not everyone is going to be able and motivated to take the action you want them to take. And so being able to have, like, this is my baseline and these would be nice to have, that can be really good for you to put into your plan. And the more realistic you can be about the actions you want them to take, it affects the whole rest of the planning process that we're gonna look into for the next few videos. And so the action is a really important place to focus on. Is it realistic and probable? The other thing, which is maybe slightly weird for the presentation person to say, is it's probably a good time to look at the mode of your communication and go, is a presentation the best thing for me to do? Would an email work better? Would a conversation work better? And let me tell you, a conversation is almost always better than a presentation. And think about, like, are you expecting too much of a presentation, or are you planning a presentation where actually you could do it with a much smaller much smaller action, much smaller output, like an email? What else do you need to think about? It's important to now also just jot down the maybe the major points that you want to be making, or the things that at the moment you're really going, these are the things that I think are super important to include. These are some things that would be nice to put in. And then as we move through the presentation ingredients, as we're going to in the next few videos, then you'll be able to draw from some of the stuff that you put together. So the next thing we're going to do, so take a second to just pause and review. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some of the recipes that are in presentation now. So different scenarios you might be doing a presentation in, and then what are some of the very high level recipes that you can do, you can then adapt for your own purpose. And before that, we're going to look at some of the ingredients you want to make sure you're putting into presentations so that you're as persuasive and confident as you want to be. So I will catch you in the next video when we're going to start talking about ingredients.